You on the West Coast, right?
We're in California, and it's May gray OC.
Really?
So, yeah, May gray and June gloom. It's very normal.
I'm gonna have to check my weather app. I gotta see what's happening.
There's just not a lot of sun, no sun. So it makes you really crazy. It makes you like want to just sleep all day, which isn't good, obviously.
Well, you know I'm gonna be over on the West Coast this weekend.
No, you're gonna see for yourself what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So it should be interesting. So Jay, let me. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me give you a little bit of insight on how I first. I think my first time discovering you was when I seen you on with the male feminists versus the female anti-feminists.
Oh yeah, Jubilee.
Yeah, Jubilee. What was
Yeah.
that experience like?
Wow, that was wild. Like they had contacted me maybe the prior showing. I think it
Hmm.
was around 3 months before that.
Hmm.
And they interviewed me and I realized I messed up on the questions. Like it was abortion questions. So I realized I messed up. So this time I was like better prepared for the answers, but they
Hmm.
didn't even ask that question. So I got it, of course, this next round. Had no idea what to expect, but I kind of like it that way. I like to be on my toes and I just can flow from there. I did know Portia. I knew Tori, so it was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to see a familiar face there because she's obviously in the red pill world. But yeah, it was I didn't realize how much that organization kind of I don't know if they're advocating, but definitely give a huge platform for the LBGT community.
Hmm.
Because I went on and started poking around at their videos and saw they do a lot of things. And even what was quite interesting was as soon as we finished taping, you went out into the green room and there was just a room full of trans. Like they were, I think the next
Really?
show, yeah, they were all like, most people wouldn't know, but I knew they were all like these to the nine wigs, the makeup, the everything. And they were doing a show with, I think, trans and then maybe people who had untrans themselves or whatever it's called,
Yeah, yeah,
detransitioned.
yeah.
That was like, wow. And yeah, it was interesting to feel. I didn't read the comments because a lot of my friends said don't read the comments because they
Oh,
kind of came hard.
smart friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Smart friend. Oh my God. I tell
Just do
people
not
all the time to stay out of the comments.
They said don't read them, and I heard that they really came hard for me.
Oh, that's
But
normal.
yeah, I was, stoked they put me on the cover, and I was like, okay, it's to be expected that they were going to come for me because I did say some strong things that obviously are not liked, by the masses. So, oh well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody to stay out of the comments.
Hmm.
Um, because I mean, that's just what come with content creation. Because no matter what side of the aisle you on, you're gonna get it from the other side, right? It's kind of like the presidential election, right? You're gonna have half the country hate you, and you're gonna have the other half of the country like you. Which I was really impressed. I really liked you because I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what to expect, right?
Yeah.
So just reading the title of that whole show, "Male Feminist," threw me off because I don't understand. Honestly, I'm genuinely curious. Okay, so let's start off from the beginning.
Yeah.
How do you view yourself? Do you see yourself as more liberal, conservative? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that this is the thing for people like when they see me and this is a true story. Like I had bought that dress in Miami at a very nice hotel and I got a very good deal on it. It was like a couture, like,
You look
gown.
nice. You look
And
nice.
so I was so stoked for it, but I never tried it on. So the morning of my car's down front and then I put it on as if women, we do hair, makeup, we get dressed last, right?
Hmm.
Everything and then I put it on. I was like, holy shit, this is so much boobs. Like, and it's no secret that I have large boobs, but I was just like, what do I do? Like I always I was like, oh my God, I'm just gonna have to rock with it. So I just did. So I know when people see me and then they see like boobs and like hair and makeup and stuff, they're just like probably thinking I'm left. But I do consider myself quite conservative, irregardless of the fact that my profession deals with a matter that's not talked about in the conservative realm, which is sex. But sex in a really conscious, elevated, spiritual, light. And so I think that's the dichotomy or the juxtaposition of me and my life as people see my content. They
Hmm.
see what I do and they're like, oh, this woman's, whatever. And the truth is, I never leave my house, like ever, unless I'm in a country hosting a retreat or in Miami on a podcast. Like I'm home.
Yeah.
And I don't think people look at me necessarily and get that. And that's okay. It's okay. So I'm conservative. I'm definitely not a feminist. Um, I don't like to say like I'm an anti-feminist either, because I think anytime you say you're not something,
Yeah.
you create more of that energy.
Yeah.
For instance, if I say, um, ask yourself this question: why has there been a war on drugs and a war on guns and a war on cancer, but none of these things have been solved?
Right.
It's
Right.
because
Right.
you're putting a lot of energy against it versus the solution. So I don't really think I'm anti-feminist, but I'm certainly not a feminist. I'm for the preservation of the divine masculine and divine feminine energy, which happens to be more traditional gender roles,
The
mostly.
interesting thing about it, though, and you said that's something that's literally taboo or not as much or not discussed as much publicly, especially amongst people that kind of align the way that we align, because I consider myself really conservative also, is sex, right? And I do want to dive into that probably a little later because,
You want to
as it
like
gets
ease
later,
people
we get
into
a little bit of spicy.
you want to just like ease your audience into that. You don't want to scare
Nah,
them
you
away.
don't know my audience. My audience is down for all of that. So my
Okay,
audience
okay.
is with it, right? But
All right.
and we're gonna get into that because I want to talk about a lot of things. I want to kind of pick your brain because I think that you are a very intelligent person. Because it's funny because me and you've been trying to connect for so
I
long,
know.
and we've been having conversations for so long. But hopefully, I get to. Well, not hopefully. I'm gonna see you in person
Yeah,
this weekend.
we're gonna see each other this weekend and create
Yep.
some content in person, which is so much fun, right?
Yeah, I like in person stuff. So this is just a little, a little bit of a vibe. We just kicking
Warm
it.
up.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
mean, we ain't doing nothing on it. It's a Tuesday night. What could be
I'm
happening
just
on a Tuesday night?
Newport Beach, looking out my window and seeing gloom.
Yeah, yeah. So,
That's what,
but let me ask you a question though. So, the sex aspect of it. Why do you think that that's such a taboo? Especially since that's your profession, right? And that you
yeah,
deal with, you coach, you give insight into everything related to, especially the connection, spirituality, whatever like that, right? And we're gonna get into it about sex.
yeah.
Why do you think that that's such a taboo subject amongst conservatives? Like it's like we not having sex. You know what I'm saying? Why is that such a taboo subject?
Well, because most conservatives, now I'll caveat by saying most conservatives are conservative. Could you help me with this word here?
Conservatives,
Conservatives are faith based, right? They're
right?
faith based. So when you take, I mean, I'm sure there are people who are conservative that are not faith based, but I would say as a rule of thumb, most of them are.
Right.
Um, and so when you get into that world of faith based Christianity, probably most being the most predominant faith in that conservative class, you get into the religious dogma of sex is a sin unless you're doing it within the realms of marriage. And that if you're having sex before marriage or outside of your marriage, you're going to hell. Like,
Right.
period, the end,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And raised in the church, tell me, I don't know if there's comments or whatnot.
Mm.
If this was the
I was
message that,
raised in the church.
yeah, if this was the message you heard growing up in church, comment yes or say yes, that's me.
Right.
And I know this is the case because I coach hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, and most of them come from this religious dogmatic belief. So sex is a topic that wasn't touched. The only way it was touched was if you do this without being married, you're going to hell. And if you have sex outside of marriage, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Period. The end.
Yep.
So when you talk about why is it so taboo, it's because it's been programmed in us and in our parents and in our grandparents and so on and so forth for how many hundreds of years that this is how things are.